The desert wind carried secrets. They whispered on the wind, stories of an ancient being. This was no ordinary life form. This was the oil tree. A twisted, gnarled monstrosity older than time itself. Its bark oozed a viscous black fluid, a substance whispered to hold unimaginable power. Some believed it to be a gift, others a curse, but all agreed the oil tree was not to be trifled with. Legends spoke of its origins in hushed tones. Some claimed it was born from the fallen tears of a vengeful god. Others believed it to be the petrified remains of a demon forever trapped in our world. Whatever its true nature, the oil tree stood as a silent sentinel in the heart of the desolate wasteland, a beacon of fear and wonder, a testament to the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the world. The journey to the oil tree was not for the faint of heart. It lay hidden deep within a desolate expanse of the world. Here the sun beat down mercilessly, baking the earth until it cracked. The air hung heavy and still. The silence was broken only by the mournful sigh of the wind. It was a place of stark beauty and unnerving desolation, a place where the veil between worlds felt thin. Travelers spoke of strange occurrences in the tree's vicinity. Animals would avoid the area, their instinct screaming at them to turn back. Birds would fall silent, refusing to fly within a mile of the tree. Even the hardy desert plants withered and died, unable to survive in the shadow of the oil tree. The ground around the tree was barren. Not a single blade of grass grew. The only sign of life was the oil tree itself. Its branches twisted and turned. They reached up to the sky like the grasping claws of some monstrous beast. The oil that seeped from the tree was unlike anything found elsewhere. It was thick and black, with an unnatural iridescence that shimmered under the desert sun. It moved with a life of its own, pulsating and rippling as if breathed by some unseen force. The air around the tree was thick with the cloying aroma of the oil. It was a sickly sweet smell. It clung to the back of the throat and made it difficult to breathe. It was said that the oil possessed strange properties. Some believed it to have healing qualities. They whispered of its ability to cure any ailment, to mend even the most grievous of wounds. Others claimed it held the key to immortality. They told tales of ancient kings and queens who bathed in the oil, hoping to prolong their lives indefinitely. But these were dangerous delusions. The oil was not a benevolent force. It was a trickster, a deceiver. The true nature of the oil was far more insidious. It was a poison, a corrupting influence that wormed its way into the minds and bodies of those foolish enough to touch it. Those who came into contact with the oil often experienced strange and disturbing symptoms. They would be plagued by vivid nightmares, haunted by visions of unimaginable horror. Their bodies would begin to break down, ravaged by a disease that seemed to rot them from the inside out. The oil was a curse. It brought nothing but misery and death to those who dared to use it. The land surrounding the oil tree stood as a testament to its destructive power. It was a wasteland, devoid of all life. The very air seemed to crackle with a malevolent energy. Those who dared to venture too close often found themselves overcome by a sense of dread and despair. Many lost their minds, driven mad by the whispers that seemed to emanate from the tree itself. Despite the dangers, there were always those drawn to the oil tree's power, driven by greed, desperation, or perhaps madness. Over the centuries, countless souls had made the perilous journey to the tree, hoping to harness its power for their own ends. Some sought wealth, believing the oil to be a potent fuel that could bring them great riches. Others desired power, convinced that the oil held the key to unlocking forbidden knowledge. There were rituals, ancient and terrible rites passed down through generations in hushed tones. They spoke of sacrifices that had to be made, of blood that had to be spilled, all to appease the entity that resided within the tree. These rituals often involved elaborate chanting, grotesque offerings, and the spilling of innocent blood. The air would crackle with a palpable sense of dread. The very earth seemed to tremble in anticipation of some unholy event. Section 6. The Offering. One by one they came, drawn to the tree like moths to a flame. A desperate farmer, his crops failing, seeking a miracle to save his family from starvation. A power-hungry warlord, his eyes on conquest, believing the oil to be the key to invincible warriors. A heartbroken lover, driven to madness by grief, willing to offer anything for a chance to reunite with their lost love. All of them seeking something, anything, to ease their pain or fulfill their desires. They came bearing gifts, treasures beyond measure, hoping to appease the entity within the tree. Gold and jewels, silks and spices, all laid at the base of the tree as offerings. But the oil tree cared nothing for material possessions. It craved something far more precious. It craved life itself. And so the offerings became more and more depraved. Animals were slaughtered, their blood staining the parched earth. Eventually, it was not enough. Section 7. The Revelation. The truth of the oil tree was far more sinister than anyone had imagined. It was not a god, nor a demon, nor a source of power. It was a parasite, a monstrous entity that fed on the life force of others. The oil was not a gift, but a lure, a way to draw in unsuspecting victims and drain them of their essence. The whispers, the visions, the madness, all were manipulations, tricks to break down its victims, to make them more pliable, easier to consume. Those who succumbed to the oil's influence didn't find wealth or power or love, they found only oblivion. Their life force drained away, leaving behind nothing but empty husks. The tree thrived on their despair, their desperation, their willingness to sacrifice everything for a taste of its power. It was a cruel joke, a cosmic horror that reveled in the suffering of others. And the worst part? It seemed to delight in its work, its branches swaying gently as if in amusement at the plight of its victims. Section 8. The Reckoning. The oil tree stood for centuries, a silent testament to humanity's greed and folly. But even the darkest of secrets cannot stay hidden forever. A time came when the whispers on the wind changed. They spoke of a reckoning, of a force powerful enough to challenge the oil tree's reign. No one knows for sure who or what finally faced the entity. Some say it was a band of heroes, armed with ancient knowledge and blessed with divine power. Others claim it was a single individual, a soul untouched by the tree's corruption, who stood against it. The battle was said to have raged for days, the very earth trembling under the force of their might. Lightning split the sky, fire rained from the heavens, and the wind howled like a banshee. The oil tree fought back, its branches whipping like tentacles, its oil burning with an infernal fury. But in the end it was no match for the forces arrayed against it. With a final earth-shattering roar, the oil tree was vanquished. Its trunk split asunder, its branches withering and crumbling into dust. The oil that had once oozed from its bark dried up, leaving behind only a faint, acrid smell. Section 9. The Scar Remains. The oil tree was gone, but the land bore the scars of its presence. The soil remained barren, poisoned by centuries of corruption. The air still crackled with a faint, unsettling energy, and the whispers persisted, carried on the wind, a reminder of the darkness that once held sway. The legend of the oil tree serves as a warning, a reminder that there are forces in this world that are beyond our comprehension. Forces that we should not trifle with, no matter how tempting their promises may seem. For in the end, the only thing we truly have control over is ourselves. Our choices, our desires, our willingness to resist the lure of the unknown. The oil tree may be gone, but the potential for darkness resides within us all. It is a truth we would do well to remember, lest we too fall victim to the whispers in the dust.